Hey, what's happening, all you anime and manga fans? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I am back with another episode of What's the Difference? The Shaman King edition. Last episode, we saw that with the newest series, the 2021 series of Shaman King, there was subtle differences in the showdown between Tokugaru, the 600-year-old bandit ghost who had possessed Ryu in order to gain vengeance against Amidamaru through harming his host, Yo. And we saw that though he could easily have been sent to hell, send him straight to hell, he was actually given a chance at salvation, which showed the nicer side of the shamans, especially Yo, who put himself in danger when he really didn't have to. So we really got the sweetest side of our boy Yo. And now we see the next episode of the newest version of Shaman King, the 2021 version, and that is episode 5, Oversoul. We're also seeing episode 12 of the 2001 version, The Star That Signals the Beginning, and we're starting off the manga with volume 3 at chapter 25, The Dragon's Gratitude. So strap in and strap on as we check out what's the difference in all these versions of Shaman King. Shall we? Opening up with Shaman King 2001. They really do give a lot of screen time to all of Ryu's, I guess, followers, as it were. And that makes a lot of sense. Ryu's followers are very minor characters, especially in terms of the manga, but at least here they're given a lot of time to shine and see what they have to say. I actually enjoy that. These characters who become very, very inconsequential after a certain point in the manga, it's just like, why not just give them a little bit of time if you're trying to pad things out, if nothing else. And, of course, gotta have that, lovely fart joke in there. I swear to God, the older anime has a weird increase in terms of fart jokes. It is absolutely wild. So, Yo and Manta actually ended up staying Manta ended up staying overnight at Yo's place that he shares with Anna, their fiancés and all that good stuff. So, it's actually kind of interesting. But oddly enough, in this version, Ryu is actually kind of struggling with the fact that he was possessed. Whereas in the manga and the newer series, he actually bounced back fairly quickly. Like, that was something that was very interesting and like a testament to him and his abilities. So, I'm actually... Oh, and Horohoro's here, for those who aren't aware of any of that. He's kind of been freeloading in their house, so a weird adaptation that they've made to the series is that Horohoro really isn't introduced until later on. Like, in terms of the new anime, he won't be introduced until next episode for the 2021 version. We also had the shattering of the Higoromo. I forget the name of the sword, but now Ryu is finally awake. He's apologizing and all that. But whereas in the newer version and in the manga, you have Anna up, about, and cooking. Well, she's cooking food more for herself, but it's actually Ryu who is doing most of the cooking. He is now kind of indebted to Yo and his family and all that because he helped keep him from being possessed. Which is actually pretty nice because with Ryu in the newer series and in the manga, he didn't have that close of a connection to Yo and Anna and Manta and all that good stuff. It was actually like they were actually still kind of enemies up until the situation with Tokugaru. Whereas in the older anime, the 2001 series, they become allies fairly quickly. Like, there's a lot of moments where Ryu is kind of becoming enthralled with the worlds of shaman and all that good stuff. So it's actually pretty nice. And I love the fact that Yo is kind of freaked out. It's just like, wait a minute, you should not be up and around. You should still kind of be out of commission for the most part. But apparently being possessed by Tokugaru has awoken the fact that apparently Ryu has shaman powers for some reason. It's actually pretty cool. But it would kind of make sense that certain people would have latent abilities in terms of, being a shaman or what have you. It's just like some people have a little bit of spiritual awareness. Hell, it might even be that all people have a little bit of spiritual awareness to a certain degree. Ryu has had enough encounters with spirit stuff because of Yo and Manta that it would kind of make sense that his senses have been heightened for the most part. So it's actually pretty nice for the most part. The older series and all that, he's apologizing because he ended up, causing them a lot of trouble. He's become this kind of close ally to them. So he, felt this really big connection to Yo and the rest of them. So he feels it necessary to just apologize and try to make up for it because he was trying to run away from being a shaman. Like, whereas here in the manga and the 2021 series, he is, and the fact that he has shaman powers has been awakened and all that. He can now see Amidamaru. He does the apology the same as in the older version, because he has the need to apologize and all that. It's actually fairly nice. And he wants to become kind of like this servant of them. I love the fact that Anna is just like, ooh, I could be this boss lady. I could be this highfalutin kind of mistress, this hostess, which is kind of funny because she kind of becomes that. Spoiler alert, that happens in the future. But needless to say, it's a nice little moment. So, it shows Anna's ambition and all that good stuff. But whereas the 2021 version glosses over a lot of stuff, specifically the restoration of the sword. That's something that we kind of dwell on a little bit in the manga and the 2001 series. Where, it's funny too because they had it so that Ryu was kind of dwelling on the fact that he had no spiritual abilities or anything in the 2001 series, but here it's just like, boom, it's been unlocked after all this time. But it's just like, it feels kind of wacky because it's just like, okay, that's all you needed to unlock your want to become a shaman. So it's just like, boom, there you go, congratulations, fantastic, you finally get to become a shaman. It's great. It is so great. But Ryu feels the need to do something in the story to restore Hashirama. He wants to repay them. It's weird because in the manga it's in a bathhouse, and I love the fact that Ryu with his hair down is so fabulous. I wish he had his hair down more. His pompadour is iconic. I know. But Ryu with his hair down is friggin' hunky. He is a hunk of a man. And you have Ryu just doing his best to clean everything up, whereas in the manga, he and the boys help clean everything up. They came out of nowhere and just boom, 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 we're helping out something fierce. So, nice little moments and all that. But, he goes to clean in the original anime, but he feels this sense of responsibility. It's nice. Ryu deep down, despite the fact that he was a bit of a jerk and a bossy guy in the beginning, he had also a good heart deep down. Hirasame, he feels responsible for all of that. He wants to do something for all of that. And they gotta figure it out. The 2021 anime just jumps to them summoning Mosuke into everything. It's just like, they can just summon him back from heaven. Yeah, he moved on, but... Oh, and Horo, I swear to God, Horo. Too much bathroom humor. Seriously, there's so much potty humor in the old version of the anime. It is weird. But, in the heart-to-heart between Ryu and Amidamaru, there's a lot of character-building moments in the older anime. It's actually kind of nice. But, it also kind of... It dwells on things a little farther than it needs be. Like, of course, we'd have these sullen moments, atmospheric moments. Of course, Samita would be pretty down. They feel that there's no other way, but why twist the knife? Why keep this going? Whereas in the manga, over time, and in the next scene after the situation with Ryu, it's just like bada bing, bada boom. I can bring Mosuke down and have him restore the sword. Whereas Ryu's gang is just discussing how to lift his spirits up and having trivial conversations, and it's just like, oh, come on, guys. Why are we dragging this out? We're trying to fill this entire episode. It's nice. It's nice to see them trying their best to be good guys to Ryu and showing the bonds of friendship and caring and sweetness and niceness. But I don't know. It kind of starts to go from it's sweet and nice and caring to it's needlessly overcomplicated. Oh god. Rely on our hats. Oh god. Yeah, you guys are not the smartest around. But again, it's the only screen time they'll ever really have in the end. Like, once we start to get into the full swing of the shaman fight in Tokyo 2000... What? Actually, now that I think about it, is it called that in the newer anime? And even in the older anime, did they call it the Shaman Fight in Tokyo 2000? I think they avoided pointing out the technology of the time, but, a lot of it is supposed to have taken place in the year 1998, 1999. So very hard to say for the most part, especially considering how long the series ended up running. Yeah, but something going on with the ghosts and all that. Horo still hanging out here. Some kind of presence creeping in. I like the ominous name. Like, I love that shot. Whereas Horo, Anna, and Yo's dad just randomly being there, being all friggin' ominous. Like, it's these atmospheric situations, which really are a credit to the series, but it's just like, dude. Whereas in the older anime, it's just like we're halfway through this. In the newer anime, it's just like, we're in the first few seconds. No, thank you. But it's Ryu's gang trying to find a lady for Ryu, and it's just like, come on, guys. The only pretty boy kind of blew it for the most part. The sun is setting because you guys are just taking so damn long. Oh man, this series. Don't get me wrong. I love the old freaking Horo on the friggin' toilet again. And now we're finally in the bathhouse. We're finally back in the bathhouse. Everybody's just gonna bathe together. It's just like, naked dudes, naked dudes. No, thank you. They all look like old dudes too. Which, oh god. Oh no. Oh no. I forgot about that. They're all cross-dressed and trying to cheer Ryu up. Like, I don't need any of this. Oh, we do get hair down Ryu in the anime. And like, they don't even recognize him with his hair down and out of the pompadour. It's nice. Although I will say Ryu looks a lot prettier in the manga. Like, Ryu looks like such a pretty boy in the manga. But in the anime, the older anime, he looks like an old man. I think it's those extra lines they kind of put underneath his eyes. It's just like, dude, you look 30. And I should know. Like, it's wild. It is so wild. You put extra wrinkles on this person who should be an old man and all that. I don't know why they didn't have this conversation around the table, though, where Anna just nonchalantly says, oh, I just will summon Mosuke's soul back and all that. Just like, yeah, you can do that. But there was no setup for it in all the others, in the animes, for the most part. You don't really realize that she was summoning, Tao Pai. I'm forgetting his name. We just dealt with him not too long ago. Lee Pyron. Lee Pyron. He's the spirit of his deceased master, and apparently that's what she did before, summon him from the afterlife. Which is something I didn't actually realize, that the master's spirit had already moved on, and we didn't really go with that. So it's a nice moment to have Ryu kind of atone for everything. So, it's nice that they're bonding with Ryu already. And it's a good test for Ryu to finally get him into the swing of having guardian spirits and all that good stuff. And I like this moment where Amidamaru is kind of self-conscious about seeing his old friend again after everything that happened. It was unfortunate circumstances, but I kind of like that thought that you could see your old friend even in death. It would suck being a ghost. It really would be. But it's like, please use my body freely. It's just like I would have anyway. I love the way her chanting looks in the older manga, where you see the beads first, and then she comes about. Again, older anime knew how to build the atmosphere, but again, it's another way of buying time because it's a repeated imagery. So we have this whole thing in the manga where Midamaru's hiding out, he's embarrassed. He's not staying out to be present. He's hiding away because he's a little bit of a coward. So we have the whole moment where everybody goes in order to integrate and all that good stuff. In comes Anna with Mosuke Soul, shoves it right into Ryu since he doesn't know how to spirit integrate and all that just yet. Nice little moment, atmosphere building. And they finally get to meet after all this time. And then immediately they get into a fight because it's just like, you broke my sword, you bastard! How dare you! How dare you, you ass! The double KO. Such a trope of anime. It's a sweet moment though. It's that manly spirit. It's just like we can't just cry it out and hug each other, saying we missed each other and all that stuff. Nah, we gotta be men, manly men, and we're men in tights because they gotta give themselves a reason to cry. You know, and it's a nice bit of friendship. And so they use that to, reforge the sword of Mosuke. It's unfortunate that the newer anime kind of glosses over a few tidbits and all that, but at the same time, it wasn't something that needed to be dwelled on too much. And so with that, the manga goes into chapter 26, The Harbinger Stars. So we're starting to really get into the swing of things, get further along with their training and all that. I like this moment where Amidamaru thanks Ryu for doing what he did and choosing to integrate in Mosuke, gave him a chance to actually be with his old friend and, to a certain degree come in contact with him. It's a nice moment. It's a sweet moment, if nothing else. Returning to the museum. Wait a minute. What? What? No, you keep the damn sword. It's a Midamaru's sword. Keep the damn sword. So silly. Huh. Actually, I don't remember this being a thing. Just bringing in spirits all of a sudden. Jeez, we get... Okay, so this filler. We're having a filler fight. Okay. Okay, and Yo doesn't want this. Man, I do not remember this. I... And Yo seems to know what's up. Why did they choose to introduce Yo's dad so soon? Odd. And the sword hilt? Okay, so they're already doing this. Huh. Fascinating. Okay, and then he integrates with a Minamaru. Oh god, I don't remember this in the. It's a spirit blade? Yeah, you are jumping. You're jumping some things. Ah, what a weird thing to. I guess they don't want him to be using an actual weapon, but he had been using an actual weapon up until now. Why create a situation where it's a spiritual strike? That's not always what's needed. Ah, jeez. I don't remember this. Like a spirit blade. That kind of messes up a few things in regards to the manga and newer series. You know, once you get to certain concepts that are introduced later down the line. It's a cool moment, with Yo's dad kind of testing him for the most part. Yeah, it's just like it's not much of a spoiler. It's like Mikihasa Yo's dad. It's like they say it in the episode. Why introduce it like that? Gotta love the aloof nature of Yo's dad, but he knows that the Shaman tournament is coming up. He wants to make sure his son is ready. It's nice character building and all of that. Fun moment. Instead of having the moment where Yo just tested out on a block of wood, integrate, boom, we chop it up into little pieces. It's actually pretty cool, very nice little moment, a bit of training, and then Ryu wants to get in on the training. like, but it's just like, no, you can't just do this. This is Yo's practice. Go away. Poor Ryu, it's just like you finally become a shaman, but you can't actually do anything without a spirit or anything like that. And then Anna, I like the fact that Anna in the manga explains like being possessed and integrating are two different things. But she still tells him to go home because Yo has to train. He has to get his train on. Get your train on. Get your train on. Get your train on. And so Manta finally goes home. Manta hasn't been home in a couple of days now. Like, yo, come on, dude. Were you just planning on hanging out with them the entire time? And for some reason, Ryu just goes on ahead. He wants to ride by himself, but I like it better that he was hanging out with his crew and Manta, where Manta has just kind of become friends with Ryu and his gang for no reason. But I guess it's okay. For the most part, having Ryu be a soul rider. He just reinforces that he wants to become a shaman and all that good stuff. Where I just like it better in the manga and in the newer series, where it's just walking home, Manta and Ryu, they look up at the stars. That emphasis. It's a recurring theme where Manta is always told to look up at the stars. It was the situation with Yo, it was the situation with Ren, it's the situation with Ryu, Manta. It makes you think, you know, it's a situation where star powers, listening to the messages from the stars. And then Ryu's like, I need power so I can be a shaman too. Stars give me strength. And boom, here comes the Harbinger comet. The comet honestly looks fabulous in all versions. You know, it's actually pretty fabulous. And I always love the scene where the shaman tournament starts. I love these scenes where it's just like the star has come, it's descending. Uh, Actually, now that I think about it, oh, Ryu just running into Yo's dad. Oh, that's right, that was a thing. Jeez, I completely forgot about that. See, that's why I do this, because there's so many different interpretations and things that happen here and there. You know, I love that shot. All different versions. It's a very beautiful shot coming in where Anna and Ryu talk about Lago or Rago, depending on what version you talk about. Yeah, Manta comes running back to their house and all that, and they talk about the star and what it means. Hangbringer of destruction, catastrophe, calamity. It actually wasn't just Manta, it was Ryu as well. Like, apparently they didn't get too far. Like, they just came running right back to Yo and Anna's place all of a sudden. But it's the mark of the beginning of the Shaman King tournament. It's about time for you to become Shaman King. Shaman King. To be Shaman. Shaman King. It's the birth of a savior. Yes, you will become the Shaman King. I love it. I love the majesty that it kind of brings with it. It really makes it seem like this mythical thing. And you see these depictions of the Native American community. I love the fact that in the newer anime, they outright show these two little girls named Lip and Rap, which you'll get to know further in the future. Because it takes the fact that they know what the author was going for later down the line and just kind of bringing everything in line. But Native American tribes who don't actually live like this anymore, as far as I'm aware of. This is kind of a little bit of a, I don't know. Is it bad depiction? I've been told that the way Shaman King depicts Native Americans isn't a bad thing. It's not really too controversial. It's actually the more respectful depictions of Native American culture, but only one person has really told me that, so I need a little bit more confirmation to know. It's just like, is this bad? Is this good? Are they doing good things? Are they doing bad things? It just raises so many questions for me. And then you see the two kids. See, the thing about the older anime, they didn't know the significance of the two kids on this kind of robotic entity, but knowing what I know now, it's just like the fact that they're depicting them like just these minor, inconsequential characters. It's just like, you guys kind of fudged up. You guys try to kind of drop the ball right there. And then you have the Native American, well, the not Native American, the African people with the masks and all that. I thought we had fully seen them in the other version, but no, in the manga, it's the same depiction, interestingly enough. And in the manga, you do see Yo's dad, but he's with someone else. So they've kind of jumped the gun on a few things. And this one girl who's out there just smoking away off in the distance. You see Yo's dad also in the newer anime, but with his actual design. They hadn't, you can see the difference because they hadn't worked out a few things from adaptation to adaptation. In the older manga, he looks one way, in the newer anime, he looks another way. They skip over a few things in the older anime. A few characters. It's unfortunate because the characters that they skip over, they are very prominent entities, and you see them with their more concrete designs and stuff like that. It's actually pretty nice because you get to see, it's just like, okay, here's where the author was originally going with some of their designs and the way that they looked, and here's what they looked otherwise. And you wouldn't know. I think they're all, some of these characters are all in the same place, but you're given the illusion that they're in completely different areas. The author really wanted to showcase a lot of these characters. He had a lot of characters ready to go. There were certain characters he knew he wanted in his series, but he hadn't really adapted it just yet. And they introduce, there's one character here, the one with the cat and the skeleton-like creatures. I originally thought he was supposed to be this character Faust, but I guess maybe not. Maybe it was a different character. And this other character, this older gentleman, I don't recognize him from the series. Maybe we'll get to be introduced to him. But then Horo Horo, Horo Horo, Horo Horo. Whereas in the old anime, you fully know who Horo is by now. But whereas in terms of the manga, well, the manga has kind of showcased Horo in a few cover pages. But here in the anime, well, then again, the new anime has also showed off Horo in terms of the opening. So there's a lot of characters that you're given knowledge of on how relevant they're gonna be, and you also have boys next to a billboard of their new album in the manga. Whereas in the anime, you see their more concrete designs and all of that. They have this weird kind of band theme going on, but it wasn't solidified just yet. But their logo was, so that's actually pretty cool. And then you have, for some reason, Ren and his sister are up on Funbari Hill just checking out the stars. I have to assume that it's because Ren really likes looking at the stars from here. But, I always wondered about this weird kind of cloak she had on. In the manga, she has this weird cloak with this dragon thing on her and whatever. It's odd. It's really odd. Whereas in the newer anime, she just has the dragon thing on her without the cloak, and then in the older anime, she's just wearing her normal dress. They're viewing it from their penthouse suite. So I wonder if you kind of lose something from having them view the star from their hotel or the building that they own, because it makes them feel a little bit too gaudy and detached from the natural world, whereas having them up on Funbari Hill is just like, okay, it continues the whole situation of Ren having this love of nature. He feels that humans have taken over nature and they've gone too far for the most part. So the prediction of the shaman fight and all that. You don't get to see Tao Ren on his friggin' majestic ass friggin' horse. It's kind of unfortunate. You lose a little bit there. And how big-headed Tao Ren could be. I really do wonder if that was the best choice. Honestly, they cut out a lot of stuff with Ren in the newer series. How maniacal he could be. But at last the time has come for the shaman fight in Tokyo, thus ending Volume 4 of the manga, and thus ending the episode in the anime. So, it's very nice to see all of this good stuff, see where it's going, see where it's developing, but let's keep moving forward, shall we? Now, we move on to Volume 4 of the manga, Chapter 27, titled A New Battle, as well as the next episode in the original series, titled Episode 13, Oversoul, which is the same name as in the newer series for Episode 5. So, always gotta love when the episode titles kind of overlap, which is actually weird because the name Oversoul doesn't come until chapter 29 of the actual manga. So it's always interesting what they choose for their naming conventions and all of that. But let's jump into seeing how far the manga and the older anime get in regards to where things land with the previous series. You get this prophecy of how, when two stars finally meet, the king will arrive and all that. Ancient. Something that we never really got a lot of was Native American representation in a lot of places. Like, there are a few series that do it here and there, but, it's very hard to tell whether or not they're really doing justice to the culture and the heritage, which I hope they do because, for the most part, the culture and the heritage is such a deep thing. Native American culture is just so amazing and so wonderful, really. But it just doesn't get represented enough. But you see in the manga, You have older depictions of Hao, who's in the Native American garb, before they decide on what he should ultimately be. You have early depictions of Horo Horo, who didn't have the big lips and all that in the beginning. Well, I mean Chocolove. I just called Chocolove Horo Horo. Horo Horo, who didn't have the big lips in the beginning. You have Horo Horo, who is depicted with this really cool, classic garb. You have Yo, and then you have Tao Ren. So it was getting pretty. The author knew who he wanted the squad to be. We also have the depiction of Goldiva, Goldiva, however you pronounce the person's name, who I always thought was a male. I always thought this person was a male. I am only just realizing this is a female because of the voice actor for the Japanese, versions of the anime and the two anime versions, and I'm just like, why did I keep remembering this character as a male? Oh man, they make her more feminine in the older anime, but oh man, and you're getting to see the introduction of the various different members of the council, the chieftains. You see, they're already introducing lip and rap in the manga, but you don't see too much of that in the older anime or even in the newer anime. Lip and rap are just kind of cut out of everything. They show off Silva, make him seem very ominous, but at least in the older anime, they wanted to make sure you knew that Silva was just one of many. Honestly, you don't see that a lot, where the Native Americans are such a crucial part of an entire series. And I think that's something that always kind of made me wish to see more depictions of Native American culture in media. Like, seriously. They're always treated as this kind of afterthought because of the way that, well, honestly, America treats them like, third class citizens for the most part. The places that they live, the land that they're actually given, they're barely given any way of actually living and growing and thriving on those lands. And there's constant pushes to pollute or take advantage of land that is sacred to them. Look no further than the whole situation with Mount Rushmore, which should have been sacred Native American land, and it wasn't treated like that. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful how often natives of different countries are treated. Places like to pretend. We like to pretend like we actually care about these people. We say we care about these people, but then we'll just turn around and try to take away the land that is sacred to them. And it's just like, no, why would you do that? Why? No, 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 no. We don't need that. We don't need to do all that to these people. These people have suffered enough, have been suppressed enough, and if things had worked out differently, they would be the true people in charge of these lands. They should have a lot more say in what happens to these lands and what goes on. Let me stop. I'm way too far up on my high horse on all of this, but it's just unfortunate. Whenever I hear about stuff like this, it's just like, no, don't do this to these people. They've suffered enough. They've suffered enough. They need help. They don't need more desecration of the places that they live in. But you have the whole situation with the beginning of the episode, Oversoul. Whereas with the newer anime, we just boom right in the middle of the city. Older anime, more of Horo Horo coming in, being like, "Wake up! It's time for the shaman fight in Tokyo." Whereas with Manta in the anime, well, in the older manga, he's meeting up with them in school and all that good stuff. It's actually pretty nice. With various different depictions of things. You can tell with the older anime, they want to pad things out, so it's just like, we'll begin in the morning. we'll begin in the morning before anything really comes into play. Manga, okay, we'll begin in the midway point where the day has already kind of started. Whereas in the newest anime, it's just like, bam, we've skipped over huge chunks of stuff. Old anime wanted to just mask Silva for some reason, despite the fact that we should already know what Silva looks like. Yeah, and they talk about the shaman fight. They do their best to keep Yo laid back in the older anime. It's weird why they do that so much. Like, whereas Yo in the manga and newer anime is suffering, it's just like older anime is just like, no, he's completely just laid back, couldn't have a care in the world. Come on, show me Silva. Hanging out with Anna, weirdly enough. And then, boom! Ominous moment. Ominous moment in the friggin' and old anime. Like, whereas in the manga and the newer anime, it's just like, Silva, he's there, he's chilling, he's having a grand old time, he seems like a pretty cool dude. Older anime? Nah, dramatic turn. Oh my god, who's that dude floating up in the air? My goodness, who could it be? My goodness, who is that mysterious masked man? Like, drama. Too much drama. And Yo just looks like he doesn't have a care in the world. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? Like, seriously, they do their damnedest to make Yo look like he hasn't a care in the world. Despite the fact that some dude came out of nowhere, just floating way up above them. Oh, jeez, it's so weird. And having Horo Horo just hanging out with Yo, too. It's weird. It's a weird situation. I think I prefer things in the manga and newer anime. You don't need to build up all this drama. Oh my goodness! And now we have this. I do kind of love this clashing between Horo Horo and Yo. It's fun. It's fun little moments. It's nice to see Yo palling around with more people than just Manta. I love Manta, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to have Yo gaining more friends as life goes along. It's just like he's still young, it's time for him to get more friends in life and all that good stuff. Nice little developments here and there. It's sweet. Anna staying up. Again, building more atmosphere in the older anime. They live in a big house too, so plenty of people can live there. Having Horo Horo be there, hanging out, doing his thing. And then he just up and leaves because, he has to fight. He has to develop and fight. More padding out, more padding out, more padding out. I do like the fact that Yo and Amidamaru do talk from time to time. It develops their relationship and their friendship and, makes you kind of really hammer home just how close their bond can be. Whereas with the newer anime, it's just running through things at such a breakneck pace. But I guess that's just the way today's anime works. They just want to get to the juicy good stuff. Give you the main points. Apparently a star is calling. What? Come on. Come on. And you get to see Manta's house for the first time. The fact that he's actually kind of well off. They really don't build upon that for the most part. Okay, so we've finally gotten through all of that fluff. Let's get to the fun stuff, where they meet Silva, who's just at this vendor. There's a little bit of tension that's all of a sudden just built upon. I like that a little bit. You think, oh, is Silva somebody to be to worry about, only for it to be like, I'm trying to sell you stuff. Please buy a Native American ornament. It's fun. It's funny. It's cute. Honestly, I would love to get some of that stuff. And then Yo just kind of goes about his business, walks off, not paying him any mind, but it's just like, oh, Yo, build your spiritual awareness. Silva Wing. Honestly, Silverwing looks a lot better in the manga. I can't lie. I can't deny it. And Yo just chilling out on Funbari Hill. Everybody loves going to this hill. Like, keep it incorporated within the series. It's a staple of the earlier versions of the manga. Funbari Hill is such a, crucial place. And to have that be where Yo and Amidamaru have their heart to heart and, talk about how you can't grow and all that good stuff, I feel like it's better represented here. Because it's where they first met. It's where where Amidamaru was laid to rest. There's a lot of significance to Amidamaru being here on Funbari Hill. It's where they first started to develop their bond. I don't know. It feels like not having them have this discussion here, not having this be the place. It's the place where we were introduced to Yo. But for some reason, the older anime really love to just have them in that house. A lot of stuff happens in Yo's house. A lot of stuff. It's very weird. It's very weird. But I love the commitment, build upon this newer stuff and all that. This ominous nature of Silva being called, just, calling through a star and all that. I don't care for it. I don't care for the grandiose nature. I love him just rocking up with his stuff. It's nice. Oh, man. But you see, I love the quirky nature of Silva. And wearing sunglasses at night and all that good stuff. Silva of the Patch Tribe, which I should actually really look up whether or not the Patch Tribe is a real thing. Like, I'm not actually aware of if they're an actual entity for the most part. So, he shows up, he introduces himself, he has multiple spirits and all that. And, he says it's a simple test. Cut to the next chapter, Silva Style. I like a lot of it. Okay, an official for the shaman fight and all that. Yeah, the rules are simple. You just have to land one blow. I really do love the way that Silva looks. He's a lot more lean looking in the newer anime. It's actually pretty fun. Yeah, I remember watching. One of the things that really got me into Shaman King was actually this. This was like my most prominent memory of Shaman King was Yo facing off against Silva. It was actually pretty fun. And the Oracle Bell, which they don't immediately introduce as something he needs to gain. I like it. And I love the cockiness that Yo actually has, and the fact that he feels like he won't need to. He immediately feels like he'll be able to bring Silva down, but immediately, bam, blocks it like a G. He just does a JoJo pose and blocks. Like, he looks so jacked in the older anime. Newer anime is all about keeping these guys lean. Come on, get you hidden, Yo. Get you hidden. Boom. Yeah. Silver was such a boss. This is why I love this. And I love the fact that Yo couldn't see it at first. You had to develop the eye. It's just like it looks like he's wearing armor, but no, it's that spiritual energy and all that good stuff. Silva shield. Ah, yes. The fact that Silva is like counting things down in the older anime is literally just to buy time. And boom! Brings out Silverhorn and BAM! Completely dominates Yo. Brings out Silvertail so he can run in fast. Honestly, there's just a little bit more going on in the older anime. Silver Rod. Now he's struggling a little bit. Older anime does kind of draw things out a little bit, but I just really do remember. It was fun. It was a little bit more fun. I love it. I love Silva. I'm sorry, I have such a man crush on. Yes, and it gets the explanation as to what Furyoku is. I really always, like, it was such a fabulous introduction to Shaman King. This really was the moment that I fell in love with this series. Like, don't get me wrong, I was enjoying the series for the most part. It wasn't bad, it wasn't something I hated, but it's just like, when you had the fight with Silva, what he could do, the weapons that he could wield, and what he could do with those weapons, like, something in me just clicked. It was just like, whoa, what? What? That's so surreal. And I did like the build up before we actually fully saw all of his weaponry. Furyoku. Yep, and Silverwing is still such a joik. He's a big mouth joik. Smack talking ass bird. I love that all of his arms are just laughing at Yo. It's surreal. And it's just like, I don't want to test the Shamrai's strength. I want to test your strength. End of the chapter. Open up with the next chapter. Oversoul. You have to use your wits. Lots of explanation going on here. But it all leads to the same thing. The explanation about what Furyoku is, spiritual power, and all that good stuff. How you integrate it with the soul. And you cut over to, Manta meeting with Anna. It's a sweet little moment. I gotta say, it's just like, again, the older anime is going hard on the action, just building it out. Like, they're finally really starting to put some really decent stuff into the older anime. Like, boom, 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 these extra hits and extra fights and all that good stuff. But it's just to draw stuff out, just to buy time. He's still dwelling on Furyoku. See, look at that clash! Ah! Like, suddenly they're putting a little bit more effort into things. And I feel like that really just goes to show how impactful this moment with Silva really was. Like, the fight between Yo and Silva really just kicked off Shaman King in the realest way. Don't get me wrong. The first fight against Ren was okay. It was pretty fun. The first fight against Ryu possessed by Tokagero was okay too. But the fight against Silva. Yeah, something that kind of was brought to my attention too. Apparently that snake's supposed to be a dude, but in the older anime it was portrayed as a girl, whereas in the newer anime it's portrayed as a guy, kind of in drag almost. Oh, so he doesn't do the fastball special. No! I wanted him to throw Midamaru. That was such a funny moment. And I love how mad Midamaru really is. And then he tries to exercise. It's weird. the older anime cutting things out. He tries to exercise Silva's weaponry, but accidentally does it to Amidamaru. It's fun. There's a lot of fun moments in the manga and the newer anime. Yeah. Dude voice coming out of this thing. Honestly, all of Silva's arms are talking smack from the most part. It's actually very interesting. And I love the frustration that Yo had. Yeah. And he realizes it's the same shot. I love it. Ugh. I love when composition just carries over. Okay. Yo's really starting to learn. He's starting to develop. I love the observational skills of Yo. And yes, he's taking it to the next level. He realizes what he has to do. And that's why having it be like some kind of replica of Harusame didn't make any sense to me. Like, integration in the body was cool, but integration into the weapon, that's where it's at, man. That's where the real cool stuff happens. That's when Yo started to just have that big brain thinking. Like, he knew what he needed to do. He had to stop all the ghosts who were coming through. He's here to fight for me and you. Oh, yes! Oh, that scene in almost every incarnation is so awesome. Just love how angry Amidamaru looks. Oversoul. Bam! There you go. It's so intense. I love this moment in every version. Like, it's actually kind of subdued in the newer version. Where, it doesn't outright look like Amidamaru's just up in there biting down on the hilt of a sword. But, it's so intense the way it looks. Oh, yes, it is so good. So good. But it uses a lot of power, especially since he's using it for the first time. Yeah, it's flowing with energy. Yep. Yes. He's using up all that power. You got 1 minute left, kid. Show me what you got. I prefer this not being something that's timed, but I won't lie. Having it be timed in the older anime built up the tension for me. It really made me feel like, oh man, come on, Yo, you gotta get done. You gotta get done as soon as possible. And not having it timed is nice and all that. But also, the fact that in the anime, newer anime and the old manga, whereas in the older anime, Anna knew what Yo had gone to do. But whereas in the other versions, Anna had no idea where Yo had gone. Like, it makes Anna seem very oblivious, but at the same time, angry wife Anna is best Anna to me. I love seeing Anna angry. Honestly, it's kind of weird too. The older anime is a lot more laid back on a lot of things. Also like the conversation between Anna and Manta, where she kind of questions Anna, constantly pushing Yo and all that good stuff, but Anna has the utmost confidence in Yo. It's sweet. It's really sweet. Next, we have Chapter 30, Silva's Totem Pole, which sounds like an innuendo. It really does. An innuendo. Like, Tatakai, Tatakai! And it's just like, come on, let's do it. Let's fight! Yeah, and then his, totem animals just kind of form up. It's a shame too, because in the older anime, you got this whole transformation sequence. which you didn't see in any of the other versions. So like, I'm sorry, I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. Transformation sequences are so cool. Silva's knife is very plain in the old anime. That's the one thing I don't like. His knife is so plain. But other than that, I love the transformation sequence in the older anime. Manga and newer anime is just like he just pulls out the knife and bam, they are in totem pole cannon mode. Totem pole hole. I love it though. It's I love the way this thing looks. It is so intense. Like, oh, it is such an intense thing. It's just like, this thing might actually kill you, but if you want to become Shaman King, you'll stand up against it. Ugh. Loved how intense this was. But it also just goes to show that, how deep things had to be about Yo. How serious it had to be. And in all versions, we kind of have this moment where, where Anna and Manta actually kind of talk things over. I like this. That's why they kept it in all versions. It all happens around the same time, where Manta and Anna have this heart to heart about who Yo really is. Manta feels like he kind of understands Yo to a certain degree, but Anna knows Yo best. She knows what Yo really wants. I love the way she talks about this. You know, that people who want to save the world, they say they can do anything, but when push comes to shove, they crumble. They're out there for themselves. It's an ego trip. She doesn't buy into the hero's journey and all of that, or that they don't. She feels that they don't have self-sacrifice within them. But with Yo, she doesn't believe in any of that. A guy who wants to just live a peaceful life, he has no real ambition for anything of grandeur or anything like that. He's not in it for glory, to be the best. No, no, Yo isn't like that. He's not greedy, he's not desire driven. He just wants to live a peaceful life. You know, he doesn't want power. He's not going to change when he gets what he wants. And I love that. I love that about Yo, and that's what Anna loves about Yo. It's fantastic. Ah. Although the tensions is kind of undercut in the other versions, because whereas in the old anime, Silva's charging up his weapon. He's just like, I'm a fucking fire on your ass. Whereas in the other versions, it's just like he's kind of bluffing at first. It's just like, okay, have I properly scared you? Like, this is a straight up spirit cannon. Like, the whole thing in Yu Yu Hakusho with the spirit gun? Yeah, think about that. If you ain't ready for this, you are not going to be able to stand up against this. But Yo saying, yeah, fire at me, bro. Do it. Do it. Like, he already knows about the afterlife and life after death, so it's just like, well, if I give up now, I'll never have a peaceful life. So, if I'm not willing to work for peace, then maybe it's not worth it in general. Totemic Soul Blast! Oh! Love it! Yes. I love how in the newer anime, Oversoul starts playing. It's an intense moment. It's so good. Oh, every version of this is so cool. And he just stops it and just boom, absorbs the energy and blam, blast through everyone. Chapter 31 of the manga, getting Oracle Bell. Like, such a cool moment where he just slices through Silva's weapon and all that. It's so good. It's so good. He did it. He did it. You did it, yo. Uh, yes. But he can barely stand at this point. He is out of energy. This kid is so far out of energy. Like, that attack took everything that he had. I always get nostalgic over this fight. Like, if nothing else, this was the thing that just really brought me into Shaman King. And I prefer it where Silva catches him. It shows how nurturing he is deep down. I prefer Silva catching Yo. Uh, oh, look at that beautiful man! Look at that beautiful man! Oh, he's pure sexiness! Yes, and with that you get an Oracle Bell. I prefer it being on a chain, not a string. Thank you very much. I feel like that weakens the whole look and aesthetic of it. I prefer Yo just kind of having a fun time with it. And of course, Silva, for some reason, just has a spare bandana. Like, I love it. It's just like, he's all about his look. This man is all about his look. But seriously, look at how jacked Silva is between the two different versions. Like, with the... I'm sorry, with the manga, he's fairly jacked. With the anime, also fairly jacked. Older anime, dude is like ripped, so ripped. Like, he looks like he's got veins popping out of his arms and stuff. Like, this man hits the gym consistently. Like, nah, man, good on you, man. I wish I had the worth ethic you did. Like, so far out. I love it. But you see messages from... it's basically a pager. It's a glorified pager. I really do love that. The Oracle Bell was a pager, so I wonder what it's like in the newest versions, because it doesn't have to... it doesn't have to function like a pager. Also, like, the older anime and the newer anime kind of tries to make Silva's exit seem a little bit more impactful at first, whereas he was really just gonna, you know, oh, just run off and just do whatever. But I love the fact that it's just like, hey, I gotta run. I got more people to test and all that good stuff. So it's nice. A few jokey moments they just kind of eliminate. I love how much pride his animal spirits companions take in him. And he just flies off. May the great spirit be with you. Yes. Yes. I love it. And then, God, such a brutal moment. They didn't dwell on it too much in the older anime, what Ren had actually done, but yeah, he slew the guy he was who was testing him. Like, it's just such a brutal situation to have killed the man right then and there. Like, dude, no, you didn't have to kill him. Too far, Ren. Too far. But you also get to see a little bit of the indifference from the Patch Tribe on this. You know, everything is as the Great Spirit wishes and all that good stuff. But, you know, Tao Ren has his Oracle Bell. And next is Horo Horo. Yo versus Horo Horo. Very nice. And then the ending of the original anime has already had the start of what's going to be the next match. And that's the match between Yo and Horo Horo. Which, you know, since Horo Horo has been living with Yo this entire time, it makes it so much more kind of impactful. Like, oh no, it's Horo Horo? The dude who's been living in my house for days now? It really makes it such a prominent thing. And then they're just like, oh crap. Like, it goes from an intense moment to a silly moment where it's just like, can these two goofballs overcome each other? Oh man. And that's it. That's it. Uh, I really did love. I love the whole fight with Silva. It is a fantastic spectacle. Silva in general is a fun time. Honestly, each version had their ups and downs. There were things I liked in the older anime more, there were things I liked in the manga more, and there were things I liked in the newer anime. Kind of a little bit more. Honestly, the newer anime, there's an intensity that the newer anime has, but at the same time, it just doesn't hit all the same spots for me. You know, I get caught up in it in the moment. It's good enough, but when you compare it to a lot of the older versions, there's things that it could do better. Certain moments that it could just linger on just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And like they're trying to rush through this adaptation, and I'm just like, nah, put a little bit more TLC behind this. Yeah, certain scenes you can rearrange, and maybe they don't have as much impact as you think they do, but I don't know. I feel some kind of way about the way they're going about a lot of this, but hey, if you've managed to get through all of this, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you like which adaptation do you feel did things best? I'm really interested in hearing your opinion. Was the manga the best incarnation of this? Was the older anime the best? Or is the newer anime the shining example of what you should do for an animated series? I'm eager to hear from you, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye bye.